Welcome. In this video, I'm going to talk about my experience at the Australian Formula One Grand Prix. Let me know what your experience was if you went along, or if you're thinking of going along. What are some of your questions or concerns or things you're looking forward to? And more importantly, if you've been to Grand Prix around the world, I've been to a couple of others around the world. Yeah, I think overall, it's obviously if you haven't been, it's something that is great to check out. But I think with the explosion of popularity in Formula One, somebody who's been going to the event for a good couple of decades, I thought I'd share some of the more negative aspects of some of the changes that have happened in recent years. So, firstly, the difference, just how difficult it is now to get tickets. I mean, tickets sell out, especially on the Saturday and the Sunday, very very quickly. You have to be, on your phone, on your computer as soon as the tickets go on sale, and you'll be in a queue. And if you're lucky, you'll be able to get a ticket. But it's very very hard. Well, gone are the days that you could just rock up at the gate and pay to get in. And of course the prices as well. So the prices this year were, even for just your base level general admission for one day on the Sunday, was $210. So it's not cheap. And I think, speaking of price as well, the merchandise, I mentioned this in one of my other videos, but even a hat was $100. And just, yeah, even the food was super expensive as well. So next was the crowds. So there was reported 483,000 people across the weekend, and it was extremely crowded. And I think overall the Australian Grand Prix Corporation do a good job, but they'll get 80% of it right, and then 10% you go, oh, they need to improve on this, and then 10% they just get totally wrong, I think. And for example, last year was very hot, and there was nowhere near enough water stations. You'd have to line up for 15, 20 minutes just to fill up your bottle. They don't allow you to bring water into the track for security reasons. So yeah, and I think this year, there were certain points that were very congested, although they did do a better job in managing that. But even, for example, like the toilets, there were huge lines to get into the toilets. And I think most importantly, just to see the action on track was extremely difficult. Albert Park is very flat, and there's really not many spots that you can, stand and look at the track. So I heard a lot of people complaining and saying that they really couldn't, see much at all. And there's a couple of funny videos of people just kind of watching it on their on their phone, because they just can't see what's going on, which is absolutely absurd, right? I think really in general, the event kind of feels a bit more like a circus. I think there are a lot of people that are there just to be there for the just because F1 is a thing now, and it's popular. There were people that were waiting at 3 a.m. outside the track, even though the gates didn't open till like 8:30 or 9:30, depending on the day, so they could run to the Melbourne Walk and yeah, I don't know, make social media content or try and get signatures or whatever. And hey, it's a free world; they can do what they want. But last year there was actually a video that's since been taken down of a 17-year-old who was up in a tree and stayed in there overnight. And I think it's things like this that lead to them increasing the time that Albert Park is shut off from the public. It's always been around 1 week. So about 5 days before the event, and then 1 or 2 days after the event. This year it's going to be 3 weeks, and that is a massive inconvenience. It is a public road; people use it. There's lots of facilities, sporting fields. There's lots of wildlife. You only have to go there on a non-racing day and realize just how much the community use it, and it just seems totally unnecessary to me that they've closed it off for 3 weeks. And I also saw the security were very, very heavily handed. I saw an incident where, security approached this man in the grandstand and, falsely accused him of not supposed to be there, allegedly because, the security guy or was actually a lady, didn't recognize him, like as if you're going to remember everybody's name and face. And they were extremely rude and aggressive towards him. And it was just completely unnecessary. And something like that could really ruin your experience. And I think it's because of some of the weird things that people do, in terms of the things that I mentioned, 3 a.m. and hiding up in trees and all sorts of stuff. The V8s, so the V8 supercars are there they are. They are the premier racing class in Australia and New Zealand, and they were just treated like an afterthought. I mean, sure, it's always about the Formula One on this weekend, but they still are a very high standard of racing, and they were actually not even in the main pit lane this year. They were just chucked out on the grass behind the back straight, and it was really disrespectful. They didn't even get to use the main podium. And I guess the flip side of that is that there used to be more, like, stands and freebies and things that you could get. And they had to remove a lot of that this year to have the V8s there. So I really felt sorry for them. And in general, I think, to my point, a lot of people go there to just for the hype. And even with the F3, the F2, the V8s, there really weren't that many people that were watching during that time. Speaking of overcrowding as well, I remember there were things like the Lego stand. So to go to the Lego stand to just get a simple lanyard, there was a 2-hour wait, and there was security. Again, to my point with security, who were even preventing people from lining up, because they just said, look, there's too many people, and you'll have to come back later. So influencers as well, a lot of quote unquote influencers. I noticed, Ford had invited a whole bunch of women influencers, which, is great to see some, gender diversity. There you go, coming into the sport. But again, you could tell that, and I actually looked a couple of them up online, and they zero interest in motorsport and Formula One. And so again, it just makes you wonder what direction really is the sport going in, or where is that balance. And just people sort of making content, or just talking about what they wear and that sort of stuff, rather than I actually heard people over talking behind me, and they said it's not motorsport anymore, it's entertainment. And I think that that's very true now. It's really not about the racing anymore. And I think, obviously you need a balance. Like, sure, it's about the experience, it's about the entertainment as well. But and actually on the way there, I was speaking to somebody who had an old Williams hat, and I said, wow, that's pretty old, like, because it was BMW Williams. And the guy was saying, yeah, I've been going for 20 plus years, and maybe this year might be my last, because it's just too hard to get tickets, too expensive. I mean, even merchandise, it was $100 for a cap, and even the food was super expensive as well. So, just something to think about. Liberty Media have just bought MotoGP, so I think a lot of the changes with Formula One are probably going to go into MotoGP, and so that's going to change as well. And I think, to use an analogy, it's a bit like over tourism when they talk about, Japan or Barcelona or Venice, where, if you have too many people, it kind of ends up being fun for nobody. But let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching, and check out my other F1 content.